All right, we back sitting down with my man John Jenkins. John, former NBA shooter, sharpshooter. Now he's playing in the G League with the G League Ignite, having a good year over there, shooting the ball crazy. He's over there, kind of like a mentor. They calling you Uncle John yet?
I'm big bro for sure. I'm big bro, uncle, all that. No, it's been dope though. I've been enjoying teaching the young guys something, but they give it more to me than I am to them, and they don't even know it.
All right.
Just I gotta bring it every day because their energy is so high, and at 32, like most guys is not trying to compete with 17, 18 year olds, but I'm just embracing it every day. It's been cool.
Yeah, what do you see in being 32 and then being around so many young guys? What do you see in this new generation of young guys that was missing when you were young, and then things that saying that you see kind of like the same?
One thing was missing, I feel like, when I was coming up is the access that all these players have to all the moves, the trainings, like everything's on either YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You can go online and look at Steph Curry's workout. Like if I had that when I was their age, I would be all over it. I'm still on it now, so the access for sure to not even just on the court, off the court. You can do yoga, you can do strength sessions on there. Uh, but I think the hunger that I had with that age was a little bit different because I didn't know what players were doing. I didn't have social media. I didn't know who was doing what unless I saw it on a magazine or something. Uh, but now I just feel like everybody knows everybody's doing, and could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But for them, it's a lot of more pressure for sure because everybody's following every step, especially here at Ignite. But these guys, man, they handle it amazing. They don't talk about it at all. I mean, I know they look at it and they see what's going on, but the way they just embrace it and just move on is has been great for me to see.
Nah, that's dope, man. It's kind of funny, man. I think I remember I was on a team. I think I was like 30, and they started calling me OG, and I'm like, is it really that
Yep,
time now? You know what I mean? It
yep.
kind of it creeps up on you. But I mean, I feel like, and we were kind of talking off air, man. I feel like the 30 plus basketball player in this day and age is really a lot younger than he was like years ago or the generation prior,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of it has to do with the different modalities and the treatment, the information, the knowledge that we have to kind of further our careers. I mean, we see it with LeBron at 39 years old. But I mean, even just circling back to you and your production, you're shooting, 47.7% from three at high volume, over close to 7 shots 3 point shots a game. Um, Even at 32, man, I mean, and I feel like you definitely deserving of a 10 day. I think if you were 26 shooting shooting this right now, I mean, you'd be on a roster, wouldn't you?
Yep. I believe so. I've seen it happen before, and like you said, man, this most of the skilled guys in the league are playing their best at 34, 35 plus right now. Uh, and I think it's all about lifestyle too. Like you said, the modalities, all that. But the lifestyle that I live is not the lifestyle of a normal 30 plus year old person. I don't drink, never smoke, don't go out. Fun things for me to do is just to do yoga at home, be with my kids. I'm not putting any pressure on my body. And the way we train now, especially with the knowledge, like you said, you can get good work in without putting any pressure on your knees. So I'm able to get my work in and still feel fresh. And then I'm playing so many minutes this year that I bounce back to the next game just because of the access that I do have to all the information.
Right. But I mean, I feel like we kind of glossed over this, so we kind of got to go back. But like shooting damn near 50% from three is wild, bro. Like, and I think that it's even crazier doing it at high volume because every look is not a good look. You know what I mean? If you're
Right.
shooting a lot of threes, like every look is
Yeah.
not a good look, man. But it's
Yeah.
like, what's your mindset in regards to your success this year with the percentages? How did this come about, and just how are you feeling in general, just shooting the ball that well?
First of all, I got to give credit to Coach Hart and the staff. Man, they just when I came here last year, we talked about it before. I didn't know what to expect. Uh, I didn't know if I was going to be just a 10 minutes a game guy or spot minutes or every other game guy. I just wanted to come in and help young players succeed. And then, when I got going with training camp, he told me I need you to be yourself. And I hadn't heard that really since college. I had stints in the league, but nobody was ever telling me to be myself and just, shoot every good look. I'm usually playing with a lot of money guy players, so they get the first look. But he was wanting me to be super aggressive, and his reasoning was, when these young guys get to the league, they're gonna be playing behind a Kyrie or a Luka or somebody like that, and they can't say I need the ball because they're gonna have the ball. So they need to play with guys that are gonna have that mindset. So when he said that, it just took off from there, and I don't want to let him down for giving me the opportunity as well because I know that's very rare. So I just had, I always work hard, but I really turned it up a notch and took on a leadership mentor role. And then I can't tell them what to do if I'm not holding myself accountable every day and every game. So it's made my game go up 10 notches just off that alone. So the 3-point percentage, I think, is just a product of the work and just wanting to show them the best example of how to be a pro every day. And yeah, it's been a crazy year. My dad always told me I could shoot 50% from three. And as a as a son, you like, oh, you just saying that you're my dad. But now that it's actually possible, I mean, the G League season is broken up in 2 seasons, and there's a showcase season, there's a regular season, and I think combined it's like 49.6 or something like that. And I've shot over almost 200 attempts. So
Mhm.
um, I'm not shooting for 50%. I want to make every shot, obviously, but like you said, I'm getting guarded by all the best players. I saw a boxing one 2 nights ago at
Mm.
32 years old. I don't know anybody that's getting that at 32 years. I got that in every level now. I got that in middle school, high school, college, and now as a pro, I've seen boxing one, triangle and twos, all that. So it's sign of respect is what the coaches told me after the game. The coach that did it, I know him. But still, man, a boxing one in a pro game is crazy. And I don't know, man. I just feel like it is a sign of respect, and I just feel like I don't get the same respect back at times for what I have done with the way I do shoot the ball at a high level, and the way I'm getting guarded at all times. Like, I'm obviously known as a shooter, and so I'm getting, the defenses at me, but I still got to make the shot at all. And then if I don't make it, it's a totally different subject. And so being able to be this efficient with those quality of looks that I am getting, some good, most times heavily contested. Uh, I'm just happy I'm able to just continue to do this at this age.
Yeah, a boxer one is wild when you got a 2.9. It's having a 2.9
Yeah,
in boxer
right.
one.
No, I gotta send you the picture, man. I sent it to my high school coach because when I was in high school, uh, I saw everything every game. I never got man-to-man defense till I went to college.
Hmm.
So it was just we told me to always set back screens back then. He was talking to college coaches all the time about how does he get through this? How does he score? How does he get over it? Do I just put him in the corner and let dudes just play, or how do I go about it? And so we tried to sit in the corner thing that wasn't going to work. And so I remember in high school I was just setting 1,000 back screens a night just to free guys up to get layups so that we get out of it. And the team that did it the other day didn't do it long. It was like 2 possessions, but
Right.
I just stood in the corner. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool.
Nah, that's what's up, man. So how do you think you've grown as a shooter, from like early in your professional career until now? Like what has improved? What have you changed? And yeah.
I would, man, coming up, my well, in high school, I was everything because of I think everybody at this level was everything in high school. But I played basically 1 through 5, and if you ask my teammates back then and my friends growing up, they would say, "Why do you shoot so many threes now?" Like, I was a scorer. That's what I'm trying to say. I led the country in scoring my last year of high school. I was averaging 42 points a game,
Mm.
and I was shooting it from everywhere. Like I was driving, I was dunking, I was athletic. I would shoot threes, but it wasn't my main thing. Once I got to college, where I figured out I gotta, play a role on a team, and I was the only freshman going into Vanderbilt, and with a bunch of older guys, and my role was on that team was to shoot, open threes, spot threes, and so immediately I went from a scorer to just a spot 3-point shooter. And so as the years went on at Vanderbilt, I was able to show I could do a little bit more. But my everybody knows me as a shooter, especially since college. And I think I went from a spot shooter to you know off screens and pin downs and transition, and then now I'm shooting every way possible, off the dribble, off ball, uh, stationary, shot fake, two dribble, step back, like whatever I can get to, I'm getting to it now with no hesitation. I think it's just the work that I put in throughout the years. I never wanted to be labeled a one-trick pony. That's the one thing I told my dad. I never wanted to be labeled as just a three-point shooter. I think that might be too far gone now just because I've been doing the same thing for so many years. But the variety of shots that I do take, I've added a floater. My mid-range has always been really good. But I think when you do something so good for so long, it's just going to automatically put you in that category. So right now, I'm just trying to be the most dynamic shooter I could be. My trainer Drew Hanlon told me that he's like, man, whatever you do, just try to be the most dynamic at what you're gonna do. So that if it's gonna be threes, make sure you can do it at all levels. So that's what I
Right.
focus on.
Is there anything mechanically that changed, like whether it be something physical or just mentally? Because I remember a lot. I remember I read a book and that kind of just changed my mind. It changed me mentally in regards to how I thought about makes, misses, and everything, or how I read my misses. You know what I mean? Did anything mechanically change for you over the years?
I think just speeding up my shot the most was the most important thing that I did from probably high school to college, and then from college to pro was a whole different level. Guys cover ground so fast, and they close out so well that uh, a slow jump shot was never going to be able to get off. I'm not 6'7", so I think for me mechanically it was always. I would say if I look back, it's probably the same shot, but the way I get it off and how fast I can get it off had to change drastically. So I added the corner three where I barely catch it and keep it high. Like got that from Anthony Morrow my rookie year in Atlanta, and I kept that. And just focusing on quality reps, game speed reps. Now it just becomes second nature. But there's so many good shooters in the league and in the G League now, and I feel like everybody knows they have to get it off quick because there's too many athletes now.
Yeah, I mean, there's. I think if you're not shooting the ball, it's very hard to touch the floor these days.
Yeah.
You just have to be elite
Hmm.
somewhere else, which is difficult in itself. But I think that it's just funny because I mean, I just kind of feel like the NBA just has kind of a archaic mentality in that, like, even in drafting young players or even signing professionals, I feel like they kind of look at the age as a marker when I feel like you keeping everybody for a year or two anyway. Like
Right.
I could get 2 years out of a 34. I could get 2 good years out of a 34-year-old guy, just like I could get.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna have 2 or 3 years with a guy that's 22 or 19. Like you know what I mean? I feel like the majority of players are either getting shipped off or they're out of the league within a few years. But I still feel like there's just this thirst and this stigma to just find like the young guys when, I mean, in my mind, I feel like it just makes sense to just get the best possible player, regardless of age. Like you know what I mean, and let age dictate the length of the contract as opposed to the quality of the player.
Yeah, I think where I'm at now too with Ignite is, if I go to a young team, I have confidence that I can help that team out. So I'm doing that here now. I'm playing with young players, helping them grow, but also showing them the way, on and off the court. So I think I bring value from a locker room standpoint right away from a young team. And then on a veteran team, I've been on veteran teams my whole career in the NBA. I know how that goes. And I'm coming in to do one thing. I'm not coming in to ruffle any feathers or shoot the ball every time. I'm coming in to make shots, be solid on defense, and be a great teammate. And I think when you got a guy that's my age, we know what we have to do. There's no second guessing. You don't have to worry about, guys like us coming in and trying to do too much, like a young guy might try to do to prove himself. I know who I am at this stage in my career, so I'm gonna play my role the best I can, and just continue to do that every day. I'm not gonna try to. I know my role is gonna be a shooter in the league. A young guy, they're gonna try to be one way this year, then got to grow another way. Like I know that if I get back to the league, it's gonna be to do those things, and I think I'm more ready than ever.
No, that's dope, man. And as a player, you've touched pretty much every level. You know what I mean in regards to NBA. You've been overseas, and now the G League. What are your thoughts on the G League this year from a competition standpoint?
It's the best it's ever been, point blank. Period. The 3-2 ways changed the whole complexity of the league. Um, Guys are so good, man. Like I'm in awe because I was in the league when it was a D league. I've seen it really grow.
Hmm.
I don't know how many teams were in it when I first was in it, but it was definitely not as
I
many as
think it
it
was
is now.
16 or
16,
something
something
like
like
it was
that.
16 when I was there.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so I mean, to watch it from there, usually back then, like the starting five would be pretty good, and then there'd be a huge drop off on the bench, a huge drop off, and you could get your points. You go against second unit defenses, and it'd be totally different. Now, most teams that we played against, at least in the West, like, they can go platoon system and go 5 in, 5 out, and have no drop off. Uh, and so I think with the increased money and guys just feel like they have a chance to get there, it's just changed everything. Like I told you off air, like here at Ignite, the first 5 games we might have played against 5 teams, and they probably started 4 NBA guys, the 3 2 ways, and they brought down somebody always. So for them especially, 17, 18, 19-year-old guy, like they're basically playing an NBA game. And I think it's been great for them to grow. But the league is just it's taking off, man. And I think it's only going to get better, especially as the money grows. And it's going to compete with Europe really soon. I got a good feeling because it's just it's incredible, man. People are athletic, but they're also skilled too. So usually, you get one or the other. Now it's like they have both, and then they're well coached. The coaches are really good, and I think in 5 years, man, I don't. It's gonna be up there. Like I used to think that it was way behind. Like it's still behind Spain and a couple other countries, but it's up there now, man. At least this year, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I think you hit it on the head too, in regards to the coaching, man. I think just across the board, and I felt like, well, I ain't gonna say our team, but I felt like in the D League there were some good coaches back in the day.
Yeah.
But now I just think that like there's just so many more resources. Like
Hmm.
you have, obviously you got everybody got a good head coach, but like even the assistant coaches
Yes.
and then the support staff. Like, I mean, I don't know how it was back when you were in the D League, but I mean we had one
Yep.
assistant, we had nobody else out there rebounding.
Yep.
Like
Your assistant
you
might be
just
the
got to grab
strength
that
coach. He
assistant,
might be the equipment manager. I mean, he might be playing dual
or,
roles. But now,
or you might be at 24-hour fitness
yeah,
getting that lift in.
exactly. So, I mean, we played against OKC, and I remember watching them have their little pregame shoot, and they had like 5 guys out there helping out. I was like, dang, this was like an NBA squad. Like, and it's been cool to see, man. Just starting it because I was my first time playing the G was 2013, and
Okay.
2024 is a totally different league.
Yeah, nah, it's definitely changed, and like you said, man, I think the 3 2 way situation has kept a lot of guys
Yeah.
home. The money is obviously going to keep a lot of guys home, and nah, it's exciting to see where it's been, where it is now. I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing. What's the housing arrangements like over there at
We
Ignite?
live amazing. And from when I talk to other people in the G League on their teams, they feel they the same way. Nobody's complaining about anything. We had like a little player association meeting at the showcase, and they were just naming things off they wanted to get better, and nobody named housing. So I was like, wow, that's cool. And like everybody's getting fed pretty well from what I heard. Like, that was the thing when in my first couple of years on my stints in the G, like the food might have been okay, like it might have been McDonald's or something like this stuff I really shouldn't have been eating, but that's all they had. Now, teams are getting catered meals, meal prep companies are coming in and helping out teams. Uh, so the investment in the players has been outstanding, especially for us.
Hmm. No, that's cool, man, because I think that was always one thing. I was wondering how it was going to evolve,
Mhm.
because just the lifestyle in general was just way better in Europe. You got a house, you
Yep,
got a
yep.
car. You know what I'm saying? And as opposed to, I mean, back in the day. In my ancient days, we had a roommate in a 2 bedroom.
That that's
You know what I
that's no
mean?
more to either. They changed that like 3 years ago maybe,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
got your own room on the road, like all that. Like it's
Oh, dope.
because my last year in Westchester, man, I was playing with a young team, not as young as I am now, but a young team, and they was up playing video games all night, and I couldn't do it, man. I'm asleep by 9 o'clock. I had my first kid, like I can't do it, so
Right.
I had to get my own room every time on the road, and I was
Mm.
a lot of money out of pocket every once a week we were traveling, and I was like, man, I wish I would change this, and I think 2 years later they changed it, so I must not have been the only one complaining about it. Yeah.
Right, right, right. Nah, that's dope. What's one thing you think the G League could change to make it better for the players at this point?
Um, Man, you can't really change the travel, I guess. Like nobody's gonna be flying private. Um,
Right.
that, from my experience going, I'm at Ignite, so it's a little different probably, but that's probably the only thing outside of money. Like if they get to 100K some point,
Yeah.
it's going to change a lot in basketball across the world because guys want to be at home, and a lot of these cities are pretty cool too. Like we were in Sioux Falls, and you think it's cold, but yeah, it's actually a nice city. That good food, like so
Hmm.
guys are they want to be we want to be home. We prefer to be home, and the season's not too long. You're done in March, so you can't double dip if you really want to, like I did last year in Spain. Um, so I think if they ever got to 100K, it would be crazy. I think it would. Just I don't know how many years it'll take.
Yeah, not for sure. If we got to 100K, man, Europe will be outside of Euro League. I'm talking about at the
For
domestic
sure,
level. Europe will be in
for
trouble.
sure, for sure.
Europe will be in
I
trouble,
agree.
and I think you're already seeing the drop off in Euro Cup. Like Euro Cup ain't what it used to
Hmm.
be. Like I mean, and granted the Russian teams are out
Yeah,
and stuff like that, but I mean Euro Cup, the disparity between Euro Cup and Euro League right now is
it's high.
crazy.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean? Like there's some teams that shouldn't even be in Euro Cup,
Hmm.
from what we've seen in the past, and I think a lot of that has to do with the
Hmm.
G League, and it has to do with China and Japan
Yeah,
emerging. You know what I mean? And you know all these other leagues kind of catching up with their paychecks. It's kind of watering down overseas. So you can imagine if the G League does get to 100K, that's
it
gonna
changes a
wipe
lot.
out a lot of talent. Yeah, at the domestic
I
level.
do I do have one thing I wish they would change. I'm probably selfishly speaking, but I hope even if I don't get it, I hope that it changes for other vets in the future. Is that the three two-way spots? One of those spots should be for a vet. There's too many good guys, older guys
Mm,
sitting out right now. Uh, we can go down the list of
mm,
guys that should be in the league that are sitting out jobless. One of them spots, I think everybody agrees that the league deserves more vets right now. Especially on the younger teams.
mm-hmm.
Uh, One of them two-way spots should be for a vet, or at least have a designated veteran two-way, or whatever you want to call it. You can't just have three two-way spots and they all be for guys 3 years of service and under. Like it's not fair to me, but maybe 'cause I'm an older guy, I feel that way. I just hope that changes, and I think if it does change, the league will be better. Both leagues will be better from it.
What value do you think that
I
adds
think,
with that extra two-way spots for a vet?
well, even if they just
You think it steals? You think it steals a? You think it's still okay? So if the two ways around like 700, yeah, that'll probably steal a EuroLeague
absolutely,
player and keep him in the
absolutely
G.
for sure, and even if it's I don't know how many days you get with the big club versus the G League. Man, them EuroLeague dudes that are making however much they making, they'll take a little bit less and to play in the G League for 20 of the games to get that opportunity for sure. I mean, I think so. I would do it just to be at home, and I have a family, so maybe I feel a little different. But if one of them spots was for a designated vet, however they want to word it, I think it definitely steals at least one EuroLeague player per team. I would imagine. I would imagine.
Yeah, nah, for sure. That's an interesting thought, man. Because I mean that would take a high level player from Europe, keep him in the states in the G League, which would essentially because if you think about it, more times than not, a high level EuroLeague player is better than a 19-year-old, you
Absolutely.
know, second round two-way guy. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Or 22, 23, however old he is. Yeah, so that would
It would at least provide
that's
some entry
a
to that player. I know the money will still be a little off, but it would at least provide some
yeah,
entry,
yeah.
make him think about it. If he has a family, then it's probably, a good chance he does make that move. Just because, he might get in the game, he play for a young team and have a 10-game stretch, and they might end up waving the two-way spot and then giving him a real deal right there. Like, that's very possible.
Nah, that's a fact.
So, you
Nah,
can
that's a
really
fact.
change everything just in a couple games in the league, but having the opportunity, at least have the opportunity, I feel like it's got to happen. I mean, unless they just want to keep young guys in and just keep the vets, the older vets from not getting in or getting back in, then it won't change. But in my opinion, I think a lot of guys would probably agree that one of them spots got to at least be for 6 years of service, not just because three. Eliminates a lot of guys.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think too, like, if you had if you could use the two ways for vets, man, I think it just gives teams so much more freedom to test out, pros and older players and kind of give them that chance when they're not really too
Yeah.
sure, and what I mean, they don't have to necessarily commit to signing this guy, putting him on the bench. Is he gonna be upset? He's only playing 10 minutes. Like if a guy signs a two way, he knows he's gonna be back and forth. He's gonna be spending time in the G. It's not gonna be like, oh, are you lying to me? Am I signing this? Like you look at Misic, like he signed the deal and then he comes to OKC and he's
Right.
barely playing. And I guarantee you, he's probably
Yeah.
frustrated. I'm guaranteeing like there was some kind of gray area in regards to what this was going to look like. You know what I mean? But I think that situation is completely different if you do sign a two way because we know what the implications of that
It
are.
eliminates any false thinking towards what you think might happen. Like you know what to expect. And it's very point blank clear what you're going to be doing. And I think that the opportunity that it provides for a guy that's because, like you said, there's some dudes in your league that deserve to be in the league for sure. And I just think it gives an opportunity to at least
Yeah,
stick. I think that'd be pretty cool to see.
yeah, no, for sure. What do you? So if you had to give advice for, all right, let's take two scenarios. Let's just take this first scenario of like a kid fresh out of college, had a good career. He's thinking G League versus going overseas. And money's not the issue. It's just more so like furthering his career. What do you think is the best option?
And he has no two-way offers or anything, just straight. Just
Nah, just straight into the G,
if
straight
he's
or
a good
straight
college player, I think
overseas.
you got at least try at least 1 year in the G, at least one or two. Because then you probably, if he goes 4 years, he's 21, 20, 23. I still, your league or any team in Europe is going to still be in, especially if he plays well, like, they're going to be looking.
Mm-hmm.
If his goal is the NBA, man, you got to at least try for 2 years, especially the way how good the league is now. Like, I think it would do that person well to at least give it a try. Like, for your peace of mind, at least, to know that you gave it all you got and then go from
Yeah.
there. Uh, for me, especially, like, a lot of guys probably. I grew up wanting to be in the NBA. I never even knew what EuroLeague was till I got to college or whatever. So it's hard for me. It was hard for me and still is to just go commit over there when like I feel like I can still play. And my dream was to always be in the NBA. And like I said, I have a family. It changes a lot. If I didn't have a family, I'd probably be in Europe a long time already. I would have committed for sure. But it was just that constant fight. I feel like I was giving up if I went over there. I'm not sure if any of you guys had that same
Mm-hmm.
feeling, but I felt like I worked my whole
Mm-hmm.
life, and it dominated my thoughts at all times at a young age. That if I just did my 3 years and just said I'm gonna go to Europe, I would feel like I would have been giving up. That's just me. But um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for a young guy, I would just suggest like if you feel like you got a chance and you confident in yourself, at least give it a year or two just to see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I think especially while you're young, that's when you can do it. You know what I'm saying? And I think like the the thought, or I guess just kind of the theory behind, I think going to Europe versus, especially when you're super young, going to Europe versus the G League. I think it really just comes down to your
Hmm.
need for money within the next 5 years, like because Europe is very much a
Yeah.
financial ladder.
Oh yeah, you got to
You know what
work
I'm
to get it.
saying?
Yeah.
Like, got to
Yeah.
get your foot in there, then have a good year, then have a good year, and hope you don't have a bad
Hmm.
year any way as you're climbing. So I think that is I think it's important, man. But there's so many kids just don't know what they're getting into, and it's not their fault. But you do kind of have that thought, like, man, as soon as I go overseas, I'm gonna get forgotten about. Nobody's looking because you don't understand the whole front office
Absolutely.
side and there's pro scouts, international scouts, and things of that nature. But I did have another question for you. So in the G League today, what position do you think has the roughest time, the most difficult time, night in, night out in the G?
I think it's the point guards, just like it is in the league. Uh, it's so dynamic here, man. Like we played against DJ Carton last night, and he's just getting in the paint. He did a reverse dunk just off of like I don't even know how he even got to it, but it's just dude just so dynamic. Like I said, like in the past, it would be like athletic guy, and that might be it. Like he's suspect jump shot. not a good playmaker. Now they got the athleticism, the decent playmaker, and the jump shot. So it's like pick your poison. And we've changed pick and roll coverage so many times within a game just to try to give guys different looks, and that was not the case in the past here. Like he was trapping good players, he was blitzing, he was hedging. Like now it's like we gotta play center field one night or one possession, and then we trap in the next, and it's just keeping dudes honest because they are so good and they do make plays. And a lot of the point guards are the two-way guys or the affiliate guys that come down. So maybe that's why. I think the wings are really good too. The bigs are. I feel like the bigs in the G. There's not too many like 7 foot like bangers or like 6'10" dudes like they are in Europe that are really skilled bigs. Like we have one with Eric Mika, and a couple teams have one, but the majority of those guys are on two ways or affiliate players. Most of the G League players are just like they can guard 1 through 4, 1 through 5. They're just utility players. They're just strong enough to play or guard a five. They're not really a five. The 4 man that can shoot. They spread the floor. But I would probably guess. I probably say I would just say the point guard position for sure.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because I feel like also, you know, as we spoke about before, for like talented bigs, you have so much more competition. You go to
Hmm.
China, Japan
Yep.
got crazy money. Like there's so many more places that kind of cater towards
Yep.
those type of bigs that
Hmm.
are skilled and go out and get the
That
buckets.
explains
So
it for sure.
you know, whereas like a Japan's not going to take a chance on a point
Hmm.
guard. You know what I mean? They want wings and bigs and stuff like that. And China does have one spot. They'll get a point guard, but yeah, I just feel like there's just so many more opportunities for a big to go somewhere and make some serious money than just the G League. Whereas guards, there's guards
There's
everywhere.
so many good
You know what
players.
I mean?
Like you said, they're everywhere. I'm watching college, and there's so many guys that might not even get a look in the league, but they're really good, man. They're gonna be really good European players and really good
Mm-hmm.
G League players, and then they're gonna be close to knocking down that door. But it's just so much talent. It's hard to choose from.
Yeah. So how do you think a player rises above the talent that's out there, especially as a guard? As a guard, how can you separate yourself in today's
In
basketball
my in
world
my opinion,
in
it's
general?
playmaking and defense. If you can show a team that you can provide energy, defense, and playmaking, forget the scoring. Like we know the guys of that up there is they scoring at will. If you can give something different look, it changes everything. That's what I'm on London Johnson about right now. I think he has a good chance to be that guy. He can play make, he can pick up 94, and he brings good energy. If that's consistent, that's what these teams need, especially out of college or a G League player, especially. Uh, Bouye from Sioux Falls, I think he just came off a 10 day. That's what he provides. He's gonna come in. He's gonna guard the best point or the best player, best 1 or 2 guy, and then he's gonna come in and play make, bring energy, and then he's gonna provide good minutes for when a guy like Shea is out, so he can get some good rest and then come back in and let him do his job. To me, that's super important. I think those 3 things is what's separator for a lot of guys at that position.
Yeah. No doubt, man. No doubt, man. But that's all I
Yeah.
got for you, man. I appreciate your time, man. If you got anything you need any other thoughts? Any other theories? You got any way to change the league, man? You kind of threw me for a loop with that veteran two way, man. That's a good idea. We might
Yeah.
have to send that in. We might have to send that in
I
up
think
top.
obviously I'm biased as a vet, but I just thought about it one day. Like, man, like it's a lot of good vets in the G too. Maybe they just,
That's a good
uh,
idea though.
yeah. And I
I
think, like you
like it.
said, it would bring a lot of players back home. Uh, but as far as more theories, I mean, I could talk all day about certain things, but uh, I just want the purity of the game back, man. I just feel like it's too much scratching and clawing and fighting for what's not real. And
What do you mean by that?
when I came in the league, I wish somebody told me it was a business first when I first came in the league. That's what people ask me when the young guys ask me what I wish I would have known when I was their age. I wish somebody told me that. And I had good dudes around me that I had Corey Brewer, I had Brandon Wright that paved the way. Without them, there is no me for sure. But I wish they would have told me like this is a business first, because the best player is not always going to play. It's a lot of things that are involved. And here tonight, we got to teach these dudes these things. And as a 17, 18, 19-year-old, you like, this confuses you. It confused me. And I just wish that, I think the G League's doing a hell of a job, man, because they bring all these top players in and getting opportunities, um, and they showing that hard work does pay off. And like I said, I think once the money goes up a little bit more, everything else is pretty much in place. Like you said, the living is good, like the food is great. I just think the game is going to be better from it. And I do think once they add two more teams in the NBA, the expansion teams, it's going to give a lot more guys opportunities. So that's probably what I mean most is just I wish guys that deserve it could get in, man. I want them guys to, like I said, even if it's not me, like obviously I want to get in, but I want to see the
Mm-hmm.
game and I want to see guys that really deserve it get in, man. At least get a shot, because these guys,
Mm-hmm.
especially in EuroLeague or in Euro Cup, all them dudes can play, man. I watch it all the time, man. It's just so many good players. I feel like they deserve to at least get, a year or two just to see what they can do.
Yeah, nah, I feel you, man. And I think even going back to, because I felt like, as a young player, like I feel like we've all heard like, yo, like basketball is a business, the NBA is a business, overseas a business, but people don't really provide you with examples and really sit you down and teach you. Like they tell you that, and you're like, oh yeah, it's a business, and you'll start throwing it around
Yeah.
casually. You know what I'm saying? But like, but I felt like that first year that I didn't get paid, like I felt like, man, like I
Mm-hmm.
was going through it mentally. And like that's when like, okay, this is a business and I was learning through it, but I didn't know what to do. And like that's where it's just like as a vet, if you could just tell a young guy like, look, okay, like in my situation, like if you go overseas and it's a really good league and you don't get paid, try to stick it out. Don't leave at first
Right.
smoke, first sign of smoke. You know what I'm saying? Like there are certain things that, you know, when business shows its face, as a young guy, you still don't know how to react because, you just don't
Yeah,
have that wealth of knowledge. And I think that that's where, like, I think as vets, we kind of have to go a little more in
for sure.
depth of that teaching because as a young dude, we hear stuff and then we kind of just like, take it with a grain of salt. But like, I felt like I got through more situations as a pro through the stories that other
Yeah.
guys told me. And then so when I had it, I was like, oh yeah, that reminds me of like, you know, I had a teammate that got beat up by the police, and then I had a situation where the police ran on us
Yeah.
for like no reason, and then I was already thinking
You're
of
right.
like, all right, I'm gonna get out of it. Whereas if I was naive, I would have just
Yeah.
played along with it. They probably would have.
Yeah.
Who knows what they would have done? But I was able to get out of that situation because of a story I heard a year before.
And
You
that's
know what
my
I mean?
role with
So,
Ignite to the
I
T.
think that's a
That's my role with Ignite to a T. Is prepare
yeah.
these dudes for anything and everything that's coming their way. And even if they kind of got to go through it themselves, at least they will have their guards up at first. They'll say, okay, I know it's coming. Like, at least they're not gonna have their hands down, and then they gotta react to a blow. Like they're gonna at least know something's coming and be semi aware. Now they gotta go through it themselves to really understand it. But my whole goal at Ignite is to teach these dudes of what's coming, and when it does come, how to react, how to go about it like a pro. And then it's so much so off the court that these guys got to learn that I'm helping them with, or I'm trying to help them with. But it's super important because to give the game back is the best form of for a vet. That's I'm trying to give all the game back I can. And so the biggest badge of honor for me for these young guys would be if they went to a team and that team reached out to me and said, "Hey, so and so handled this great." He said it's because of you. That would be like the ultimate reward for me. Like them getting drafted first round or whatever they get drafted is like gonna be like best night of our lives for the whole staff and team and coaches. But if I was to hear how they handled a situation that they probably wouldn't have been ready for if they would have took another route, that's like for me, that's what I do it for.
Nah, that's dope, man.
Yeah.
Super dope, man. Well, good luck, man, with the rest of
Yep.
the season.
Yep.
Keep shooting that thing, man, and we'll surely be watching, man, and
Yeah.
yeah, go
As
and set
always,
some
I
records,
appreciate you,
man.
dog. Yep.
Yeah,
No,
go
you
and
put me you
set some
put me on from
records.
day one and when I was in Burgos, I'll never forget it, man. Like that video that helped
Yeah,
me out a lot. So I appreciate you for everything. Yeah.
nah, no doubt, man. We're always gonna look out, man. But yeah, that's all we got, man. Catch us next time.